Hey everybody, welcome back to GR Research, where we are again doing some more upgrades. This will be a quick one covering this little Jamo speaker. I know it says called Jamo, I still want to say Jamo. It's the C-80 center channel. And also, I know what you're thinking. From the last video you noticed Danny got a haircut. I know, I had to get a haircut. I was kind of letting that whole COVID thing go, not going anywhere to get a haircut, letting it grow out and kind of reliving those younger days when I had really long hair like Fabio or something. And now it just doesn't grow back like that anymore. It just was kind of wiry, and it was, I get out on the soccer field and it's just all blowing in my face. So that was it. It had to go. So for all you guys who commented on the last video about my haircut, yeah, I had to get a haircut. Had to grow up again. So, upgrades. You guys are sending a lot of speakers in, and this is the second Jamo that I've worked on. It's a center channel, and funny thing about this is it doesn't have a flat side on it. The top's curved. This is really the top. The sides are curved. The top's curved. The bottom's curved. I don't know how you're supposed to set this on anything. I take it they must have some kind of stand for this thing that holds it, because there's not a flat spot on it unless you set it on its back. But at any rate, again, pretty nice drivers. The tweeter's a nice dome tweeter, and the woofers are a nice material. The quality of it is very much like paper, but there was a ton of ringing way up at the top of its range. But fortunately, it's well out of its range, and the crossover controls it before it reaches those ranges, so that wasn't a problem. But overall, nice drivers that they put in this thing. Really nice drivers. Pretty nice cabinet. It looks like it may be a vinyl wrap or something, or it could be a veneer, but yeah, it's okay. The crossover parts, oh yeah. Let me let you guys get a good look at that. These are cheesy. I'm not sure what they're thinking here. I mean, they're mostly just iron core inductor, electrolytic caps, little sandcast resistor. Man, really? It's like, come on, guys. If you're going to try and build a speaker of this quality with decent drivers, put some decent parts on this thing, man. Ugh. So, how did it measure? And the Jamos that I've measured before measured pretty well. This was no exception. Measured relatively smooth. If we look at the on-axis response there, it's a little down at the bottom end, and then there's a little bit of a knee. There's that knee again right there at 700 to 800 hertz. The reason we're seeing that on a lot of speakers is that's right where it transitions from 2 pi space to 3 pi space, or 3 pi to 2 pi. In other words, that's where it's starting to become directional. That's where the lower frequencies are wrapping around and they're losing output, and these sharp edges are causing a knee. If this was larger in a big radius area there, we'd see a smoother transition from the range there in that frequency range where it's starting to project forward and not just wrap around. There's diffraction issues going on. That's why you keep seeing that on a lot of speakers right there in that little range. So it's got that going on, and it's a little heavy all across the rest of the range there, and then it drops off quite a bit at the top. If you lay it on its side like it's intended to be used, and you start measuring horizontally, left or right, it's good about 10 degrees each direction. If you're sitting within that range, you're in its coverage range. As soon as you get outside of that range, the offset between one woofer and the other is such that one is a little out of phase than the other, and it starts creating a big hole in the response. As we can see by the horizontal off-axis response, it looks pretty rough. And of course, the vertical off-axis looks pretty good, because basically we're measuring it and just going up this way. So whether you have it below the screen or above the screen, it's going to be good in that direction. Spectral decay, pretty clean until you get down to the woofer's lower range, where we see something popping up there that could have something to do with the fact that of the insulation that they're using inside, because you see it die and then you see it come back up. Also, we see a real mismatch in the impedance. It does drop to 3.9 ohms down on the woofer end, but the tweeter end is really really high, I should say, where it's more like a 12 ohm load on that end. So we have a mismatch impedance load on this little thing. So I thought, all right, it's definitely a good candidate for digging into this thing and trying to smooth it out. So here's a new frequency response. You notice I softened it through that area, and I put a bit of a notch filter in the woofer circuit to try and get rid of that knee. So I've pulled it down quite a bit in that region. If you look at the crossover response, you'll see a pretty nice transition from one to the next. The tweeter roll-off is really smooth. I mean, the tweeter in these are really pretty nice. It's a really nice dome tweeter. The horizontal off-axis is still pretty much the same. I mean, when you're on axis and you're moving left or right, at some point there, those woofers are going to be out of phase. So I couldn't really fix a lot there. It's still rough in that regard. And then the vertical is still really good. Spectral decay is a little cleaner, added a little insulation. And with this network I've got on it, as you can see, it cleaned it up a little bit. We're not seeing quite as much stored energy. And I tried to balance out the impedance as much as possible. If you look at the tweeter end, you can see I brought it down to where it's a little more level, although there's quite a bit of a rise in the middle there where the crossover parts are being reactive. So what do we got on this thing? I figured all new parts for it, sonic caps there in the tweeter circuit, and one pair of tube connectors and new wiring. It's $170 to upgrade this thing, $170 in parts. If you want to throw in half a sheet of no-res, I'll throw in half a sheet of no-res at $28. Let's send you half a sheet, and that'll help with a little bit of this cabinet resonance a little bit, although the cabinets do have some bracing in it, so they're not bad, but it's still, that would help. So if this is a speaker that you own, you want to fix this thing up a little bit, get a lot more clarity out of it, and get a little of that in-your-face sound away from it, this little upgrade will help you out a lot. So that's it for this little model. I've got quite a few more I need to shoot. Maybe I can get another one done today or tomorrow and get you guys caught up on some of the upgrades that I've been doing, because I've been doing a lot of them. I just haven't had time to film. So that's it for this little episode on the little Jamo C-80 center channel. Be sure and hit the subscribe button if you haven't. I do appreciate all of that. And I appreciate all you guys watching the videos. Stay tuned for the next one. And then we're going to get into some cool stuff. We're going to get into one that I know you're going to like. I'm going to cover bi-wiring and bi-amping. And we're going to go all through that and talk about that. So good fun tech talks are coming. But I want to be sure and get these out for these little upgrades so you guys can know what's going on with those models that you've sent in. So I appreciate you guys sending them in. See you on the next video.